Napoleon Dynamite, 2004 indie comedy, a sort of parody of coming of age school time US movies. And what an odd, weird film it is. I saw it 2 days ago, and I still haven't really made up my mind as to how I want to feel about it. As I was watching, I kept wondering, why am I wasting my time on this film, and what is even the point of it? And then it ended, and I went on the internet to try and figure out why it's seen as a cult classic and what do people appreciate about it. And now I think it begins to make more sense as the film itself and the additional information about it settles in my mind. So the film itself is devoid of any plot in a traditional sense. If anything, it's character driven. Titular Napoleon Dynamite is an awkward teenager growing up in a small town in Indiana. He lives with his grandma and Kip, his brother or cousin. I don't think it's ever explained who he is. In any case, the guy is 32 years old and still lives with his grandma, not really doing anything in his life. Then there's also the idiot uncle that tries to start a business as a door-to-door salesman. And the movie is basically 100 minutes of following the daily lives of those people. Now, what I initially didn't get about it is that a lot of the situations seemed like they were going for this absurdist, oddball, dry type of humor. But the jokes were not really landing, and the scenes look weird as shit. But then I learned that according to people that live in Indiana, it's pretty much a documentary in a lot of ways. Stuff that I found odd is a normal part of the daily life there. It's one of those cases where reality is stranger than fiction. The other reason why I found it difficult to appreciate the film initially was that lack of traditional narrative structure. Napoleon Dynamite is purely character driven, and even though it's maybe not so obvious at first glance, pretty much all of the characters change and grow over the course of the film. I've seen it compared to movies like The Big Lebowski. Similarly to that one, the almost universal first response is that people find it unfunny and weird, like I did, and only on subsequent views you begin to appreciate it more and more. It's a movie you put on a rainy day when you're bored to spend some time with the characters you already know, in scenes you already know, and just laugh along at the absurdity of it all. I also read an article that said it's a movie that escapes classification in terms of prediction algorithms. So, for example, Netflix or IMDb or other websites typically have an algorithm that will recommend other movies based on what you liked already. For example, if you enjoyed Matrix, you will probably enjoy John Wick. If you liked Rush, you will most likely find Senna a good movie, and so on and so forth. And most of those algorithms have now been refined, and they're quite solid. But apparently, Napoleon Dynamite is one of the very few most unpredictable movies of all time in terms of who will and who won't like it. The response to this film seems to be absolutely independent of any other movies. I think there is something to it because, other than that Big Lebowski comparison, I don't think I've seen anything like it. And personally, I found it really difficult to rate it even and to decide what to think about it. Is it a good film? Is it funny? Is it memorable? Is it enjoyable? I think for the first time in a very long time, my answer to all of those questions is I don't know. I still don't know. But I guess it shouldn't matter because my recommendation or lack thereof should have no bearing on anyone else's enjoyment of this particular film.